the answer. You have provided the questions, and we search the scriptures for the answers. Here is question number 1. Does Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 3 and 4 refer to Christmas trees? Let me read those 2 verses. For the customs of the peoples are delusion. We have many customs at Christmas time. The customs of the peoples are delusion because it is wood cut from the forest, the work of the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool. They decorate it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers so that it will not totter. Here, of course, there are numerous things that might make us think that it might be a Christmas tree. On Christmas trees we have gold and we have silver and we have customs that surround it, and we have, of course, the tree itself, which is wood. But what Jeremiah is really referring to, he was speaking against idols of whatever kind. A Christmas tree may be an idol. I think it's more likely that those things which are placed underneath the tree are the idols rather than the tree itself, but it could be the tree. But Jeremiah is speaking, and he is warning the people. He is calling them back from idolatry, and he is saying how useless and how vain, how empty it truly is. Question number 2. Is there such a thing as righteous anger? Here we come to Ephesians chapter 4, and we go to verses 26 and 27, and I say yes, but we need to understand that as with all other things, the devil will seek to redirect. He will seek to manipulate and divert that which can be good and true. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 and 27 says, "Be angry and yet do not sin." It is possible to be angry about something and yet not to sin in that anger. Paul says, do not let the sun go down on your anger. And he says especially, and do not give the devil an opportunity to take that anger and to have a root of bitterness come up in you. There are many things in our world that would cause a believer to become incensed because God's name is defamed and his word is set aside. But even though that anger is there, and it can be for good, a motivator to impel us to do something about it, to hold forth and to proclaim and to glorify the name of God, we must be careful. We must be careful that in that anger, it does not become a self-righteous anger. It does not become manipulated and twisted. Question number 3. Paul said, all Israel will be saved. And here we're in Romans chapter 11. And the question is, will they all be saved? In that all, past, present, future. We come to Romans chapter 11 and verses 25 to 27. Paul says, I do not want you to be uninformed of this mystery, brethren, so that you will not be wise in your own estimation, that a partial hardening has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. Paul is speaking about how that the Jews were cut off for a time in order that Gentiles might be grafted into the plan of God. And Paul does not preach a universal salvation. If Paul and Peter and all of the rest of the apostles had preached that everyone would be saved, they were utter fools for the hardships that they endured in preaching Christ and in receiving the treatment that they received, if in fact everyone would be saved. They could just lay back and say, well, it's going to happen anyways, and so we just can enjoy life and go about our merry business. Paul and Peter and all the rest, they did not preach a universal salvation. But here in Romans chapter 11, what is being spoken of is looking forward to a specific time in God's plan where all of the Jews, all of Israel that is, will look to him who has died for them, and they will turn and they will all be saved. But all who come, they come only by way of the cross. It doesn't matter whether it's a Gentile or a Jew or from whatever ethnic heritage a person comes. The Bible declares that it is only in Jesus Christ and in trusting in his blood that was shed upon the cross that any of us are saved. Thank you for these questions. If you have a question, send it to us and we will get to it as quickly as we are able. Our mailing address is Faith to Live By, Box 426, Winnipeg, Manitoba, R3C2H6. Matt Bowering comes now and he sings Come to Jesus, and that is followed by Heidi Taves to sing Softly and Tenderly.